I stood there frozen as Lucas screamed at me in front of hundreds of people. His mistress Cassandra laughed beside him, her hand resting on her pregnant belly. His family watched with cold satisfaction, the same faces that had torn my life apart 5 years ago. They'd already destroyed me once. But when my private jet landed on the tarmac and the crew called out, "Mrs. Sterling, your aircraft is ready," I watched their faces crumble like paper in fire. Let me tell you how I got here. This is my story of betrayal, rock bottom, and the sweetest revenge. If you love a good comeback story, hit that subscribe button right now. Trust me, you'll want to hear every word of this. Let's go. 5 years ago, I thought I was living a fairy tale. I met Lucas in college, and it was one of those instant connections you read about in books. He was charming, funny, and he made me feel like I was the only person in the world. We'd stay up all night talking about our dreams, our future, the life we'd build together. He told me I was different from other girls, that I was real, that I was his soulmate. And God help me, I believed every single word. We had a love marriage, which his family opposed from the very beginning. I should have seen the red flags then, but I was too in love to notice. The first time I met his family, I knew I was walking into enemy territory. We drove up to this massive estate, and my stomach churned with nerves. I wore my nicest dress, practiced my smile in the car mirror, and told myself everything would be fine. It wasn't fine. His mother, Olivia, opened the door and looked me up and down like I was something stuck to her shoe. No warm greeting, no smile, just cold assessment. His father, George, didn't even bother looking at me properly. Before asking my name, he asked about my family's financial situation. I remember standing there forcing a smile while my heart sank into my shoes. Then there was his sister, Melissa, who didn't even try to hide her distaste. "So, Lucas, this is the girl you chose over Cassandra?" she said, her voice dripping with disappointment. That dinner was a nightmare. They made me serve the food while they all sat at the table. I was Lucas's wife, but they treated me like hired help. Olivia criticized how I set the table. George ignored every word I said. Melissa kept bringing up this Cassandra person, talking about how elegant she was, how well-connected her family was, how she summered in the Hamptons. I smiled through it all, but inside I was dying. The cruelty didn't stop there. It became a pattern, a slow poison dripping into my marriage day by day. Olivia made constant comments about my clothes, my hair, my background. "A woman of quality would know how to dress properly for these occasions," she'd say, eyeing my simple dresses. George completely ignored me at family gatherings, talking past me like I was invisible. Melissa would invite guests over without telling me, then criticize my hosting skills when I wasn't prepared. They never called me by my name. I was always that girl, or Lucas's mistake. The worst part? Lucas would defend me in private, holding me while I cried, telling me to ignore them. But in front of his family, he stayed silent. He'd watch his mother tear me apart and say nothing. That's when I realized that love without a backbone means absolutely nothing. Then Cassandra entered the picture properly. She was the daughter of George's business partner. Rich, beautiful, sophisticated, everything Olivia had wanted for her son. She started showing up at family dinners uninvited. Lucas said she was just a family friend, and I tried to believe him. I really did. But Olivia would compare us constantly. "Cassandra went to Paris for her birthday. Where did Lucas take you, dear?" "Oh, nowhere? How unfortunate." The affair started slowly, or maybe it had been going on longer than I knew. Late nights at the office, missed dinners, a cold, empty bed. I'd find perfume on his shirts that wasn't mine, see text messages lighting up his phone at midnight. "Can't wait to see you tonight," with a heart emoji. When I confronted him, he called me crazy. "You're paranoid, Valentina. This is exactly why my family worries about your mental state." That line broke something in me. They weren't just attacking my marriage anymore. They were attacking my sanity, making me doubt my own reality. Melissa actually told me to my face one afternoon, "Cassandra is better for him. You should just accept it and let him go." I remember standing in that pristine kitchen, surrounded by marble and chrome, feeling smaller than I'd ever felt in my life. The breaking point came on a Tuesday afternoon. I came home early from a doctor's appointment and found Cassandra sitting in my living room with Olivia. They went silent the moment I walked in, guilty looks flashing across their faces. Olivia composed herself quickly and said, "We need to discuss Lucas's future, without you in it." That's when I knew. They weren't just poisoning my marriage anymore. They were ending it. 2 weeks later, Lucas served me divorce papers at breakfast. He slid them across the table while I was pouring coffee, didn't even look me in the eye. His family had hired the most expensive lawyers in the city, and I had nothing. No money for legal help, no family connections, no power. They painted me as mentally unstable, a gold digger who'd trapped their son, a manipulative woman who'd faked love for financial security. They took everything: the apartment, the car, our joint savings, even jewelry my own grandmother had given me. I begged him. I actually got on my knees and begged the man I'd love to please just talk to me, to remember what we had. He stared at me with empty eyes, like he was looking at a stranger. 4 months later, the divorce was finalized. 2 weeks after that, I saw the wedding announcement. Lucas had married Cassandra in a lavish ceremony at some exclusive vineyard. Olivia actually sent me a photo in the mail with a note that read, "This is what a proper wedding looks like." I cried for 3 days straight after that. Then I ran out of tears. Rock Bottom looked like a tiny studio apartment with peeling paint and a window that wouldn't close properly. I had $247 in my bank account. I ate rice and beans for weeks because that's all I could afford. I couldn't get a job because Lucas's family had connections everywhere, and somehow word got around that I was difficult and unstable. Their poison reached further than I'd imagined. I thought about giving up. Every single day, I thought about it. I'd wake up on that thin mattress on the floor and wonder what the point was. Some days I didn't get out of bed at all. But there was this one thing I couldn't let go of: my grandmother's old recipe book. It was leather-bound and falling apart, filled with her handwriting and food stains and little notes in the margins. She used to say, "Mija, food made with love can heal anything." I needed healing, desperately. My Uncle Marco, my father's brother and the only family I had left, came to check on me one afternoon. He found me sitting on the floor, surrounded by unpaid bills, barely functioning. He didn't judge me. He just sat down next to me and put his arm around my shoulders. "Mija, you're stronger than this," he said quietly. Then he offered me $15,000 from his savings. "Open a small cafe, use your abuela's recipes, start over." I refused at first. "What if I fail?" I asked, my voice breaking. "What if I lose your money? What if I'm just not good enough?" Uncle Marco looked at me with those kind, tired eyes and said, "You already survived them. You can survive anything." Something in those words cracked the wall I'd built around myself. I took the money. I used every penny to lease a tiny space in a modest neighborhood. It wasn't fancy, just a small storefront with room for about 10 tables. I bought secondhand chairs, painted the walls myself at midnight, and installed shelves with Uncle Marco's help. I called it Abuela's Kitchen. Opening day, I cooked like my grandmother had taught me, with soul, with love, with everything I had left. I was the chef, the server, the dishwasher, the accountant, everything. I opened at 6 in the morning and closed at 10 at night. My hands bled from the work, my feet ached constantly, but something strange happened. My heart started beating again. The first month was brutal, barely 5 customers a day. The second month I couldn't make rent. Uncle Marco helped me again, and I promised myself I'd pay him back double, triple, whatever it took. There were nights I slept on the cafe floor because I couldn't afford the gas to drive home. I thought about closing down at least once a week, but then, slowly, things began to change. People started coming back. They'd tell their friends, "You have to try this place," they'd say. "The food tastes like home." I poured everything into every dish, every heartbreak, every tear, every ounce of hope I had left, and people could taste it. Then one morning, about 3 months in, a man walked in. He was in his mid-30s, well-dressed but not flashy, just a crisp white shirt and nice jeans. He ordered black coffee and my pan dulce and sat by the window. He came back the next day. And the next. Every single morning for 3 weeks. Same order, same quiet demeanor. He'd eat slowly, like he was savoring every bite, leave a generous tip in the jar, and leave. He never made small talk. Just smiled and left. The 3rd week it was a slow afternoon and I was exhausted, sitting at one of the tables with my head in my hands. He'd finished his coffee but hadn't left yet. Then he spoke. "You put something special in this food," he said. "I can feel it." I looked up at him, this stranger who'd been quietly supporting my little cafe, and I just broke down. "It's my grandmother's love," I whispered. "It's all I have left." We talked for 2 hours that day. His name was Christopher Sterling. He asked about my dreams, my struggles, really listened when I spoke. I didn't tell him about the divorce details, that felt too raw, but I told him about starting over, about feeling like I'd lost everything. He didn't offer empty platitudes. He just listened with genuine interest. And for the first time in months, I felt seen as a human being, not as damaged goods. Christopher kept coming back, and we developed a friendship. Then one morning, about a month into our conversations, he said something that changed everything. "I haven't been completely honest with you, Valentina." My heart dropped. Not another liar, I thought. Not again. But what he said next shocked me. "I own Sterling Hospitality Group. I have 52 restaurants and hotels across the country. Well, they call me a billionaire, though I hate that word." I just stared at him. This man in his simple white shirt and jeans was a billionaire? He'd been coming to my tiny cafe every day like a regular customer? He explained that he'd been looking for something authentic, something real, and he'd found it in my food. Then he made me an offer that seemed too good to be true. He wanted to invest in my cafe, turn it into a chain of authentic, grandmother-style restaurants across the country. I'd keep creative control and 50% ownership. I looked at this kind, successful man offering me a dream, and I said no. He looked surprised, but I explained. I just escaped being controlled by someone who said he loved me. I won't make that mistake again. I'd rather stay small and free than be big and trapped. I expected him to get angry, to walk away. Instead, Christopher smiled. "I respect that," he said, and he meant it. That's when I knew he was different. He came back a week later with a revised proposal. I'd be CEO, he'd be a silent partner. All creative and business decisions would be mine. Fair profit split, complete transparency. "Or," he said, "I can make it a business loan you pay back on your terms." He showed me respect, treated me like an equal, like someone with intelligence and capability. For the first time in years, someone saw me as strong instead of broken. I talked to Uncle Marco about it. "Mija, God sends angels in strange forms," he said. I prayed to my grandmother, asking for guidance. Then I signed the papers. My hands shook, but my heart was sure. The first year was a whirlwind. We opened 5 locations in 12 months. I trained every single chef personally, approved every menu item, designed every restaurant space. Christopher handled the business side, real estate, finances, legal matters, but he never made a decision without consulting me. We worked 18-hour days together, and he never once undermined me or mansplained anything. He asked my opinion, he listened, he respected me. Love crept in quietly, naturally. It wasn't fireworks or grand gestures. It was late nights in the test kitchen, working on new recipes. It was him noticing when I was stressed and telling me to take a break. It was the way he celebrated my wins and supported me through my doubts. He didn't try to fix me. He just saw me, all of me, and stayed. 3 years after signing that partnership agreement, Abuela's Kitchen had 50 locations nationwide. The company was valued at $200 million. I'd been featured in Forbes, Business Insider, Food and Wine magazine. I'd paid Uncle Marco back 10 times what he'd loaned me, and he cried when I handed him the check. I was a CEO, a businesswoman, a survivor. I'd rebuilt myself from ashes. Christopher proposed on a quiet beach at sunset. Nothing fancy, no photographers or elaborate setup. Just him, me, and the ocean. "You rebuilt yourself," he said, holding my hands. "I just want to stand beside you while you keep building." There was no pressure from family, no games, no conditions. I said yes because I wanted to, not because I needed to. Our wedding was small, just 20 people who truly mattered. Uncle Marco walked me down the aisle, tears streaming down his face. There was no showboating, no fake smiles, no 500-person guest list. This was love, real, honest, equal love. I became Valentina Sterling, and this time, taking a man's name didn't feel like losing myself. It felt like gaining a partner. 5 years after my divorce from Lucas, I was 32, thriving, and genuinely happy. I was flying to another city to close a major acquisition deal. We were buying out a regional competitor and expanding into 10 new markets. Christopher was in Europe on business, so I was traveling alone. Well, not entirely alone. My assistant Sophia was flying commercial, and I'd stopped by the regular terminal to make sure she had everything she needed before heading to my private jet. I was dressed simply that day, a tan dress, camel coat, minimal jewelry. I didn't need to prove anything to anyone anymore. I was helping Sophia confirm her boarding pass when I turned around and my entire world tilted. There they were, Lucas, Cassandra, Olivia, George, Melissa, all of them, dressed for first class, heading to what looked like a family vacation. Cassandra was heavily pregnant, glowing in that way expectant mothers do, her hand resting on her belly. They were laughing about something, picture-perfect family unit. Then Melissa's eyes landed on me. Her mouth dropped open. Oh my God. Valentina? Time stopped. 5 years vanished in an instant. Suddenly, I was that broken girl again, the one they'd crushed and discarded. Olivia's face twisted into something cruel. Lucas went pale, his carry-on slipping from his shoulder. Cassandra's expression shifted from confusion to recognition to a slow, satisfied smirk. My heart pounded so hard I thought everyone could hear it. Every instinct screamed at me to run, to hide, to disappear. But I stood there frozen as they approached like sharks sensing blood in the water. Melissa struck first, her voice carrying across the terminal. "Wow, Valentina! Still shopping at thrift stores, I see?" She gestured at my simple outfit with mock concern. Olivia followed immediately. "I'm surprised you can even afford a plane ticket, dear. Are you using coupons?" George chuckled, that same dismissive sound that used to make me feel 2 inches tall. Probably flying on credit card miles and discount websites. I stayed calm. I didn't say a word, but inside that old shame was trying to crawl back in, trying to convince me I was nothing again. Cassandra stepped forward, her hand on her pregnant belly, that smirk still playing on her lips. "Some of us moved up in the world," she said sweetly, then looked me up and down. "Others, well, they stayed charity cases." Melissa laughed, loud and cruel, making sure everyone around us could hear. Passengers were already pulling out their phones, recording. I could see it happening. Another humiliation going viral, another story of Valentina being publicly destroyed. Then Lucas stepped forward, and his voice rose above the airport noise. "Still pretending to be somebody, Valentina?" he said, and I heard real anger in his voice. Anger at what? At me existing? At me daring to be in the same space as his perfect new family? "You were nothing when I met you, nothing when I left you, and you're nothing now. Face it, you'll never be anything." He was shouting now. People were stopping, staring, forming a circle around us. His family joined in like a practiced chorus. Olivia: "Lucas made the right choice leaving you." George: "You should thank us, really. We saved our son from a life-ruining mistake." Melissa: "How embarrassing for you, seeing us living our best life while you're, well, whatever this is." They circled me like predators, their voices overlapping, their words designed to cut. I felt passengers' eyes on me, heard whispers, saw phone cameras pointed in my direction. The old Valentina would have crumbled, would have cried, would have run away to hide her shame. But I wasn't her anymore. Just as Lucas opened his mouth to say something else, the airport PA system crackled to life. A professional, clear voice echoed through the terminal. "Mrs. Valentina Sterling, your aircraft is ready for departure. Please proceed to Private Terminal 7 at your convenience." Everything stopped. The noise, the movement, the cruelty, all of it just froze. Lucas's mouth hung open mid-sentence. Cassandra's smirk died on her face. Olivia grabbed George's arm like she needed support. Melissa just stared, her brain visibly trying to process what she'd just heard. "Sterling?" Lucas finally managed, his voice cracking. Did you remarry some random guy?" Cassandra recovered quickly, desperation creeping into her voice. "She probably married for money this time, gold digger to the end." Melissa forced a laugh that sounded hollow. "Private terminal? Please. That's clearly a mistake. Security will sort this out." I picked up my bag. Still didn't say a word. Just started walking. "Where are you going?" Lucas called after me, confusion and something else, maybe fear, in his voice. I didn't turn around. I walked past the economy gates, past the first-class lounges, past everything. Security doors marked private aviation only, authorized personnel, opened as I approached. The guard nodded respectfully. "Mrs. Sterling." I heard them following behind me, their expensive shoes clicking on the polished floor. They couldn't get past security, but they could see through the massive glass windows, and what they saw made their entire world crumble. My jet sat on the tarmac, sleek and beautiful, white with gold accents, the Sterling Hospitality logo elegant on the tail. The stairs were already deployed. My pilot, Captain Anderson, stood at attention with 2 flight attendants. As I approached, they greeted me warmly. "Mrs. Sterling, welcome aboard. We're ready whenever you are. Your husband called from London. He'll meet you at the destination." I paused at the base of the stairs. I could see them through the glass. Lucas pressing his hand against it, Cassandra's face completely drained of color, Olivia looking like she might faint, George's confident posture crumbling, Melissa covering her mouth in shock. Our eyes met, Lucas's and mine, through that glass barrier. 5 years of pain, of humiliation, of nights crying myself to sleep, of rebuilding myself from nothing, all of it looked back at me. I saw him mouth my name, saw him trying to push past security, saw his whole family standing there in their designer clothes and first-class tickets, realizing that the girl they'd destroyed had become more than they could ever imagine. I smiled. Not a bitter smile, not a cruel smile, just a genuine, free smile. Then I gave them a small, elegant wave, the kind of wave a queen gives to distant subjects, and boarded my jet. Inside, everything was cream leather and mahogany, elegant and comfortable. A glass of champagne waited for me. I sat by the window, and as the flight attendants prepared for departure, I looked out at them one last time. They were still standing there, frozen behind the glass like exhibits in a museum of my past. 5 years ago, they'd taken everything from me. Today, they couldn't touch me. The jet engines roared to life, powerful and sure. As we taxied toward the runway, I watched them get smaller and smaller until they disappeared entirely. I was flying, and they were still on the ground. The video went viral, of course. Someone had filmed the whole thing and posted it online with the caption, "Ex-husband humiliates woman at airport, then her private jet arrives. Karma is real." Within 24 hours, it had 50 million views. The comments flooded in, and people started digging into my story. They found my company, found articles about my rise from nothing to success, found the Forbes feature titled Valentina Sterling, From Broken to Billionaire. Lucas's reputation crumbled overnight. His family's business partners started distancing themselves. Cassandra left him 6 months later. Turns out she'd married him for money, and when his family's finances took a hit from the negative publicity, she was gone. Melissa deleted all her social media accounts after being recognized and confronted in public. Olivia actually tried to reach out, sending a message through a mutual acquaintance. Perhaps we were too harsh. Can we talk? I blocked the number. Lucas tried everything. Emails, texts, calls, all blocked. He showed up at my office building once, and security escorted him out. A handwritten letter arrived at my company headquarters. "I made a terrible mistake. I'm sorry, please, can we just talk?" I threw it away without reading past the first line. Some doors, once closed, should stay closed forever. 6 months after the airport incident, I was in my penthouse apartment, the city lights twinkling below like stars. Christopher was beside me on the couch, and Uncle Marco was visiting for dinner. We were laughing about something silly, just enjoying each other's company, and I realized something profound. This was my revenge, not the airport moment, not the viral video, not their public humiliation. This peace, this love, this life, this was the revenge. They'd tried to convince me I was worthless, and I'd built a $200 million company. They'd tried to break my spirit, and I'd found real love with a man who treated me as an equal. They'd tried to take everything from me, and I'd created something they could never touch, never ruin, never take away. Because I built it myself. People ask me all the time if I regret that day at the airport, if I wish I'd said something clever to Lucas, some perfect comeback line for the cameras. The truth? Silence was my power. I didn't need to defend myself. My life defended me. Every success, every achievement, every moment of genuine happiness, that was my response to their cruelty. They tried to break me. Instead, they freed me. The worst thing that ever happened to me became the best thing, because I wouldn't be here without going through there. I wouldn't have Uncle Marco's unwavering love, Christopher's partnership, my company, my purpose, or this unshakable strength without first being completely shattered. Today, Abuela's Kitchen has over 100 locations, and we're still growing. I started a philanthropic foundation that helps divorced women start their own businesses, giving them the same chance Uncle Marco gave me. My marriage to Christopher is built on respect, equality, and genuine partnership, and every single day I thank God for the pain that led me here. I won. Not because of the private jet or the money or the viral video. I won because I chose myself. I chose to rebuild. I chose to believe I was worth more than their cruelty, and that choice changed everything. So if you're going through hell right now, keep going. Your private jet moment is coming. Maybe not literally, but in ways that matter so much more. Build yourself so strong that your success becomes the only response you need. That's the sweetest revenge there is. If this story touched you, hit that like button and subscribe for more real comeback stories. Drop a comment and tell me, what would you have done at that airport? And remember, they can take everything from you except your ability to rise again. See you in the next video. Keep flying.